I introduced this a little bit and said that I wanted to say something about philanthropy. We all have heard, who have been paying attention to what's been going on, that the reason that Geron has discontinued its attempt to develop stem cells in the way that it planned was an economic decision. And that's absolutely right. There's nothing that went wrong with the trial. It wasn't a problem. It was a company deciding that they were not going to be able to paint a rosy financial picture for their future and for their investors. And this is not the first time that this has happened in spinal cord injury research, and isn't the first time it's happened in other research. And I guess I am really curious whether we have the right model. We all think, of course, that we scientists discover things and then a company picks it up and develops it, and hopefully that company is able to actually make enough money out of it to pay back their investors. But I have to say I'm worried about that model. And I think going forward, we're going to have some different models in which there's much more partnership between philanthropy, real philanthropy now, not people investing in order to make money, but substantial philanthropy to get these products further along. And I'm just curious, Jack, you've been involved, you've actually done clinical trials and moved things forward. I'm curious what you think about that.
Well, I think the partnerships are going to be necessary. I actually think a slightly different partnership is going to be necessary because of the dollar amounts that are involved. Actually, that's better. In the late 1990s and 2000, some of the work that I had done on regeneration of peripheral nerves led to a clinical trial that was done that involved 1,000 patients. The cost of that trial, which was unfortunately not designed in the best possible way, was $80 million, which is not a small amount of money. And to raise that kind of money is exceedingly difficult for a company. It's actually almost impossible from philanthropy. It really takes a partnership to be able to do that. And one of the things that we have to do is encourage funding from the government, NIH funding, to focus just a little bit more on problems that actually deal with patients. Now, I spent my whole life working on animal models. I'm very grateful. I've had 2 NIH grants for 30 years. But just work with mice and rats isn't going to make it happen. We're going to have work with human beings, and the government's going to have to support that a little bit more. So I think that's really the kind of partnership that we're ultimately going to need. But I will also say that if and when, actually in my mind it's not an if, it's just a when we have something come along that very clearly, very, very clearly works in one of these problems, we will have no problem raising the money to go forward. With our company, we actually had no money or difficulty at all getting 2 rounds of funding going forward. We have not raised the kind of money to do 1,000 patients. We've raised the kind of money that's necessary to do the first 50 or 100 patients. But if something is really working, then I think actually it won't be hard. The biggest problem is what's called the valley of death in companies. It's very well known for startup companies. They get going, they have a good idea, and they just run out of money. And they run out of money because clinical trials are so expensive now. So I believe we have to encourage philanthropic support. We also have to get Uncle Sam involved because those are the only pockets deep enough to really make this happen.